And it looks like we are live. Finally. Sorry, there was some microphone issues, a little bit of feedback. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't want to hear the echo of my own voice.
You could skip this ad,
we had
but
to,
don't.
kind of like be 5 minutes late while we iron those issues out. But here we are, another week, another gaming conversation, and today we're going to kind of like obviously take things in a little bit of a different direction, as I always try to do. And we're going to just start off on some games, a game that was just revealed. We're going to go a little bit into a conversation that I really do feel Star Wars gaming needs a little bit of help, in my opinion. And we'll go into why I feel that way. I really do feel that, that whole thing, May the 4th, I've been having a lot of Star Wars hype lately, and I just really feel that there's some points of discussion. And then, of course, the big subject of the week, the one that has been seeming to have people from all different aspects of the emotional spectrum, from excitement to utter, like, insane dread. I have no idea. I showed Mickey here one of the tweets, and you know what the funny part is I wish Mickey... Mickey was like me when I first got into the gaming community. And, you come into the gaming community like, oh, it's going to be great. We're going to talk games, and we're going to have all this water cooler talk, and we're just going to talk about all this fun stuff. Whoa, what's that guy doing over there? Oh, he's one of the crazies that hang out around here. Yeah, like when you drive down the road in the big city and there's those guys that are like throwing their arms everywhere, screaming at the bushes. That's him. So, so that's where let's just start off with a fun one. So today there was a game revealed. We've been hearing Ubisoft talk a lot about it. Lately, Ubisoft has really been kind of, I don't know, it's been a little bit hit or miss. One moment they're obsessed with games as a service. The next minute they're actually wanting to, release a little bit of a smaller scope game like Assassin's Creed Mirage. I still need to finish playing that one, but from like the couple hours that I've put into it, it definitely goes back to the original, the essence of what Assassin's Creed was. What's up, Blue? Thank you for coming in. Thank you, Ace Curd. Thank you for coming checking out. We're doing pretty fine. How you doing, Mickey?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody else doing? Hope you guys are doing well.
According to Blue, he's back into Diablo 4.
Oh, snap. I'll be on that too.
Well, nice. That's great. It's nice to hear that you guys are back loading that into your pipe. We'll at least just say it. But yeah, I have not yet to play Diablo 4. I have not been tainted by Diablo 4. I feel like that my first experience with Diablo is Diablo 2. According to Blue and Mickey, I'd be much happier with 4. I really need to get it, but then it's just like, oh my God, I don't want to start another game. I have too many damn games because, I've been playing a little bit of everything when it comes to Star Wars right now. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I keep going back to that 2017 game. Mickey's been playing it with me. Still a lot of fun, and especially if you play the online co-op. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I'm trying to finish out Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. Obviously logging into ESO. Tonight we will not be interrupted by the ESO login alarm. What have you been playing, Mickey, other than Battlefront with me?
Let's see, Battlefront. Actually, I've been playing a little bit of Skyrim again. And some NBA 2K24 because Blue got me playing that one instead of 23, even though I've got a lot of money into 23. But
it was funny being on headset with listening to him and Blue, because Blue was like that guy you meet in the back alley that pressures you to buy something you really don't want to buy. Like, go on, do it. Just do it. Go on. I know you want it. No, man, I'm okay. No, go on, do it. And all of a sudden, it's like, fine, I'm not going to download 23. I'm going to download NBA 2K24. And then and then you're like, oh, the my player store. What is it? My team?
Yeah, no, yeah, he plays my team, but he told me, he's like, don't play my player. Don't do it. You're going to spend the money. Don't do it.
Now the
I was
question,
like, I can do it. I can pull myself away. I haven't spent no money,
not
and I
yet.
am playing my player. Not yet. So we're good.
Like I just see it like that moment in Half Baked where the Jay was like, "Go on, smoke me. You know you want to do it." I feel like that's what like, you log into the menu and the menu option right there for my players. Like, "Come on, Mickey, just click me. You know you want to
It's
push
a,
my buttons
it's
and
a,
just waste all your money on me."
you know you want to buy those coins. I'm like, no, I don't. It's like, yes, you do.
Oh my god, I could make a joke right now, but I won't. Anyway, so all right, back to it. So back to what we were saying about Ubisoft. They, like we were saying, hit or miss. They've had Assassin's Creed Mirage, which was great. I actually also have the Prince of Persia. Like it's like a 2D kind of like platformer. I actually bought that, and I've only played through the first boss. I can actually see where that game is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I dabble in anything and everything, but hey, it's my money. I do what I want with it, and that's what we preach here.
Damn
But
straight.
right? But getting into Ubisoft today, Ubisoft revealed Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was about 10 seconds shy of a 4-minute trailer. Obviously went to a time period in Japan that where, if just so you guys realize, Japan was at a period, at least when it came to the samurai, where the Emperor of Japan was obsessed with advancing technology. So he was really in love with the concept of having a military force armed with guns and cannons and all that fun stuff. He had at least in the, like, from the way it was back then, there was a huge obsession with Western culture at that time. And it kind of left a little bit of a vacancy for those that were trapped in the traditional way of doing things, like how they conducted themselves, the samurai in general. And I really feel that's where, at least that's the way it's looking for this time period of the game. And I'm also getting a little bit of a vibe from like a Tom Cruise movie back in the day called The Last Samurai, where you're getting this outsider, somebody who is actually not a traditional samurai per se, somebody who is just dropped into their world. And through, at least in The Last Samurai, he actually took out one of those samurai warriors, and because he actually killed one of the big samurai warriors, like the leader of the samurai integrated him into their village and made him learn about the samurai and how he had to understand that by killing this guy, he assumed all his possessions, including his wife and 2 kids. So by killing somebody on the battlefield, this American cavalry guy just got automatically assimilated into the samurai culture. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, by the way, you got a wife and 2 kids. Congratulations. By the way, there's your house. And it was actually a very good movie. I feel like they're kind of maybe even borrowing a little bit inspiration from that, where you have this outsider that's been dropped into the samurai culture. There's that male figure that you see through the game that looks like he's a little out of place, like he's learning about the culture. And then there's the female character that seems to be the person that's showing him the culture. And through the 2 of them together cooperating, you find out that these individuals are both part of essentially the Assassin's Guild or the Assassin's Creed. But dude, like, her hidden blade was it's finally like, how can you make the hidden blade all of a sudden different? Oh, I don't know. It's on a 90-degree angle with her. I definitely saw at least it was just all, let's be real, it was all cinematic, but we saw obviously stuff that definitely reminisces of Assassin's Creed games of the past, with the sneaking, the going in and assassinating soldiers that are looking for you, walking amongst the villagers. To me, this looks like this is going to be more in line with possibly Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Origins, Valhalla in scale, scope, and maybe game
Oh yeah,
mechanics.
yeah, most
Um,
certainly.
so tell me, Mickey, what, like, for somebody like you that isn't as invested in like the gaming world like I am, like for you as somebody that just like saw the trailer, I really want to know your first impressions.
Actually, I'm pretty excited because I like my favorite so far out of the series has been Valhalla because that resonates with me and kind of our background. But I'd like from Origins up to Valhalla now, all the games. But this one is, it's got the, having something where with the samurai and the shinobi is, is, I mean, that grabs my attention too. And from what I saw, it's definitely on the same road as the previous games, Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins. So it's going to be huge. Um, for me, I'm sure there's going to be some customization in there and stuff, but the story is going to be interesting too. Just from what we saw, which was not a lot, but that Japanese backstory and in the Assassin's Creed storyline, it's man, it looks like it's going to be really good, and they're probably gonna. As a matter of fact, me and Phil were talking about this beforehand. Is the two people that they showed that are, like he said, part of the Assassin's Creed. Um, it's probably going to be like a swap out. You get to play one, and then you can play the other. Because I was thinking, well, maybe they'll let you pick one or the other, but I think he's right. I think it's gonna kind of put you in two parts of the story. So I think it's gonna be fun because it's gonna give you the ability to play each character. Just test the waters on the shinobi and the samurai character type. So, but I'm interested in the story. With it being in Japan is super cool. I'm really excited. Plus, I love especially from the Origins up. I like the Assassin's Creed games because there's a lot to them, and I love the stories, and I've just really enjoyed them. So I know this one is it's gonna be up there. So I can't wait. It looks like it's gonna be exciting. And if you haven't seen the trailer, I suggest taking a look at it because it's cool.
Real quick to touch on two comments. First one, Ace Curd, you're absolutely right. I'll be brutally honest on what happened making YouTube videos. Long story short, my cat passed away, which I had for 18 years. That kind of put me in a slump. And then what pulled me out of the slump was I made an attempt at really trying to find employment, but it's completely screwed out there right now. So I kind of like had a little bit of a coming to Jesus with my employer, and everything's all happy hunky dory now. Still trying to find a good work life balance. I feel like I'm really getting there. Actually already planning to start getting back into content creation when it comes to videos again. I'm not just saying that. The only juggle is that part of what my concern was is the neighborhood I live in is absolutely outrageously, it's a war zone. I have had my fill of my last act of gun violence here in my neighborhood with a drive-by shooting happening like 50 feet up the road. So I said, F this. And I went and got my wife a new apartment out of this neighborhood. And we're starting to get into that process of having to clean this place up and move the hell out of here and start moving into our new place August 1st. And yeah, so eventually all these curtains will actually disappear. I am going to, for the first time ever, have my own little nook cranny in my home where I will be able to have all my collectibles in the background like everybody freaking else in the freaking community. And we'll be able to get rid of the soundproofing curtains here. And I won't have this window next to me where you'll hear all the motorcycles fly by. Yeah, fun times. But I really do appreciate you asking, and you are absolutely right to ask. Because I know I did videos there for a while and it was absolute fun. Definitely want to get back into it. Now, going into the second comment, Blue, you're absolutely right. There was African American samurai. There was African American individuals over in that part of Asia. We all know the narrative though, because let's just face it, Blue, we saw people lose their damn minds on God of War Ragnarok for all of a sudden them saying that there was no way that an African American was in Norse mythology when it was proven that that's possible. And same thing here. That's why I'm saying that yes, the story can go both ways. But either way, I am not going to feed into the whole shenanigans that circulated God of War Ragnarok. And if you really want me to be absolutely honest, I don't care if the characters are bright blue, bright green, purple, blurple. Dude, as long as you tell a cohesive story, which at least with Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there was. I still need to play Valhalla, but I guess I'm now screwed because I've waited way too long. But dude, like Assassin's Creed Shadows looks like it's being set for, I think it was like November 15th.
Yeah.
So November 15th. And let's be honest, people, don't be like, oh my God, there was sticker shock. You know damn well the base version of that game is going to come in around, is going to probably be $70. And the deluxe ultimate edition online, the ultimate
100
online,
plus.
I'm saying $130. I'm saying 130 right now. I'm calling it $130. So, but you know, it's good to see that I'm really once again wanting to show Ubisoft that there is probably there's more interest in their single player experiences from a broader spectrum of people than there is for their games as a service. And that's coming from people like me and Mickey that played the absolute shit out of, oh my God. What was it? Something Siege. Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh, Rainbow Six Siege.
We played Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
We tried Rainbow Six Extraction. What was really crappy is Extraction was built off of a game event that was part of Rainbow Six Siege that they tried to turn into a game. Obviously, it didn't work out. But me and Mickey also, we gave Rainbow Six Extraction.
We did try.
We did give it a chance. We played the hell out of the Division. We have actually, me and Mickey have personally actually ran the Division 1 and the Division 2 twice. The storylines, different character builds, we played the hell out of that. But we also enjoyed playing Mickey got into Valhalla heavily. I did 300 hours plus in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That was a big freaking marathon. Yeah, you can play it in Ubisoft Plus. I would agree, Blue. That's definitely one of the bigger things now. For those that, want to have another subscription service, Ubisoft Plus, if you haven't heard, subscription service for all the Ubisoft games. And it appears, if I'm right, Blue, that if I remember, memory serves me, with the Ubisoft Plus, you're able to get access to the ultimate versions of the games, like this. You'll get to play the DLC and all the other fun stuff that comes with the game. So definitely having Ubisoft Plus is something to I just don't know if I want another subscription. That's where I'm at. But I guess if you're really thinking, when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws and the Assassin's Creed Shadows, I mean, if you buy both versions of those games, the Ultimate, that's like $260. But let's be absolutely honest, if you buy that thing all year long, if I'm right, it's like $15 a month, so $150, $180. And you don't own the games, but it just where it's just like, I'm one of those that if I really like a game, I want to own that.
Yeah.
You can play Elder Scrolls Online through Game Pass. I own it. Same with Halo 5 and the Master Chief Collection. I own them. Same with all the Gears of Wars. I own them. Um, I would say the only games that I have been holding off on to buy is the Call of Duty games. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because in past I have only played Call of Duty games for the story, which is like literally an 6-8 hour experience. And generally I would wait till the game was like $20 before I'd buy it. But now I find myself being one of those, like, I know it's coming to Game Pass. I've heard rumors that, we've all seen the rumors and the comments that potentially Xbox is going to have a more expensive tier of Game Pass for the Call of Duty titles, which is where I'm going to have to weigh the option of how much it's worth to me to play those Call of Duty games if that happens.
I didn't even know about that, but I'm not going to spend that. I'm not going to do it for Call of Duty because,
See, that's the
quite
thing.
frankly,
I don't.
Call of Duty is not.
Yeah.
It's not worth it to me. So
there is people that would do it. Now I'm wondering.
Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot of people probably.
That's what I'm really curious. That's like a whole nother conversation. But yeah, apparently there's a rumor, some whispers that there's going to be a new tier of Game Pass put in that's going to be more expensive. But I'm not, like, we could sit here and play doom and gloom all day, and that's not what this podcast is about. If by some chance Microsoft comes out and announces it, we'll discuss it. And then, as of like right now, let's face it, there's not a lot of people that'd be like, oh, signing up for Call of Duty. You'd have to have more than just Call of Duty in there to justify a price hike on Game Pass. But that also being said, I'm curious on how that's going to work because technically Microsoft is under a little bit of restriction with the Consumer Affairs Authority in the UK, the Federal Trade Commission here in the States. They gave guarantees that they weren't going to go buck wild and start raising the price of Game Pass. And on top of that, I think there's also some stuff in there that they have to have some parity between subscription services with both PlayStation, Xbox, and other online subscription services that want to stream these games. So I'm going to be really cautious and reserved and being like, yep, that ship has sailed. They're raising the price. For me, I'll believe it when I see it, when they do it. And I'm curious on how that's going to work because there's going to be, they have to have like parity between, that'd be stupid if they were like, oh, $25 on Xbox and 15 on PlayStation. That wouldn't make sense to me, but we live in weird times. But getting back to the conversation of Ubisoft. Ubisoft has been making some big strides lately when it comes to at least the single player franchise, the single player-esque games, franchises that revolve around that. And one game that seems to have a lot of controversy around it, a lot of people like pointing fingers at stuff that really isn't a big deal, character design and all that other stuff. Star Wars Outlaws. We're not going to go down the road of talking about, the ifs, what ifs, and the maybes about Star Wars Outlaws. At least the controversial stuff. We're going to talk more about the fact that, so May the 4th, with all the Star Wars games I've been playing, the movies and shows I've been watching, I guess I rediscovered the sci-fi bug. And the hilarious part is my wife has actually been joining with me, and she's already watched the first 3 episodes. We just left Revenge of the Sith. I'm going to sit down now watching Star Wars Obi-Wan. And then we're going to get into Solo, Rogue One. I believe that's the name. Rogue One. And then we're going to get into finally the original Star Wars films that she's never seen. That's going to be fun for me. That being said, though, excuse me. Lately, I've been playing Knights of the Old Republic, Battlefront, the Battlefront Classic Collection. I've had that since day one. No, I'm not concerned. I haven't had any issues. And some of the other stuff that people told me that I would hate about the game, I've had no issue. I have also been playing Star Wars Battlefront from 2017. Oh, sorry, Battlefront 2 from 2017. I've been trying to play Star Wars Battlefront from, I think it was like 2014, the one that EA did before the Battlefront 2 of 2017. The player servers for that game are completely empty on Xbox. I haven't been able to get into a match, so I've been playing a lot of Battlefront 2 from 2017. In playing these games, I have realized that the only Star Wars experiences that we have had recently, this last generation, were obviously the Star Wars Battlefront games, the Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order games, Star Wars the Rogue Squadron, or basically it was essentially a ship flying game. That was not Mickey's cup of tea. He couldn't do that one.
Yeah, I'm not big on the main flying games now.
That being said, these are all EA titles. Going back and playing some of the original games, I own a lot of the original games, like Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, Star Wars Episode 3, Star Wars Clone Wars, Star Wars Jedi Outcast. There is a number of Star Wars games from back in the day, and even beforehand, like Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, which was a Nintendo 64 game. I really feel like the range of games that Star Wars had back then is in no way comparable what we have now, because with EA holding essentially they held this entire franchise hostage in the entire last generation, and now here we are in the new generation, and the only Star Wars game we have got thus far is Jedi Survivor. I played the crap out of it. I loved it. I had a lot of fun, but I'm going to be absolutely honest with, like, the games from the past, like KOTOR, Jedi Outcast, even Republic Commando. Go check that one out. Those are games that you can do without a damn lightsaber for the most part, if you want to do it differently. Yes, I know in Outcast you have a choice to use a blaster or a lightsaber. Same with KOTOR, but but Republic Commando, straight blaster game. I love the hell out of it. We haven't seen really too much when it comes to a story campaign where it doesn't involve the Jedi, other than Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2017, which was a very short game, but at the same time, there was situations where you actually played as Luke. I think you played as Kylo Ren, and you also played as Darth Vader. So there is instances where you get to play as a Jedi in that game, even though the main character, she wasn't a Jedi. I guess where I'm going with this is Ubisoft has a real chance to show that another company is capable of making a Star Wars based game, and it is going to be a breath of fresh air that we are going to have a game revolve around somebody who is essentially a scoundrel, a smuggler, like that Han Solo type character, where they're not walking around with what, as Han Solo would say, the hokey religion and the fancy little ancient weapon known as the lightsaber. There is nothing better than a good old-fashioned blaster at your side. And that's where I really do feel Star Wars Outlaws is going to be able to recapture a portion of Star Wars gaming that is absolutely needed, because I have just found that it seems like there is, like, when it comes to Star Wars games, let's be absolutely honest, 3/4, if not 80% of the games are all hyper focused on you wielding a lightsaber. I don't know, Mickey. What
That's
would you
fair.
think? What do you? Are you think
That's
I'm
fair
crazy?
because the Force Unleashed,
Yeah, Force Unleashed.
it
Yeah.
was mainly the lightsaber, and you could find crystals to change colors and stuff and things like that. So that's true. Obviously, the newer Jedi games, those ones were focused on that too. So I don't think I remember. I don't remember any Star Wars games that I've played where blasters were aside from Battlefront, but that's the Battlefront games. But aside from those, like yeah, it's all been lightsabers. It's true. I agree.
See, if you really want to talk, the one that opened my eyes to how a Star Wars game being good without lightsabers, because I played KOTOR back in the day. It was like you played that game like a Jedi with a sword, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, you can use lightsabers now. Boom, I'm a Jedi. I didn't even play KOTOR as the scoundrel or the other classes that you can play. What really opened my eyes and hit me up on this, hey, thank you, by the way, Yobi, and welcome. And Yobi would probably be able to fill me on this. Star Wars Republic Commando. Have you played that, Mickey, or do I got to somehow, or next time it goes on sale, I'm going to send it to you.
Nope, I have not played that.
Okay, it's an old game. It's done in 4x3 like letterbox. It's not widescreen.
Okay.
Dude, this literally came out around the time of episode 2, and what makes it so special is I think it's called your Inferno Squad, and you're a team of 4 of the clone troopers, except for you're a special tactical team that gets put into these situations, and you don't have like all the soldiers backing you up. It's like a team of 4 that's going, and you're essentially like their version of special forces, and you're referred to as Inferno Squad. Yeah, see? And what made me realize that this game was fun is you have one character that's like the tech guy, another one that's the sniper. Whoop. I just unplugged my damn headset. That's hilarious. You have another guy, you have the sniper, the tech guy. It's like all these guys have their different like skills. Like they have their own individual personalities, but essentially these guys are all clones. So they refer to each other by their serial numbers, like, hey, unit, 324. They don't really have names for each other. They go by their essentially their serial numbers. What made this game fun though was in the tutorial of the game. These guys did the Hidden Blade before Assassin's Creed did the Hidden Blade, which was absolute freaking badass. You're shooting, like in the tutorial, they deliberately make your gun run out of ammo, essentially, or it has to recharge. And that's why it's like, push this to melee, and this creature runs up on you, and you literally bring your arm around, and you watch this knife come out from underneath your wrist, and it goes straight into the alien in front of you, and all the like purple bluish blood squirts all over your visor, and the alien hits the floor, and this little electronic windshield wiper goes across your screen, wiping the blood away. And I was like, oh my God, that was probably one of the most brutal things I've seen in a Star Wars game or movie since Darth Maul got cleaved in half.
Hey, don't bring that up. That's not cool.
Hey, man, honestly, they made him better. Because that's the only thing I'm grinding for in Battlefront 2 right now is I got to get Darth Maul to level 50 so I could get his robotic legs.
That's funny.
But yeah, essentially there's Republic Commando. That was an absolute badass game. And another one back in the day, feel me on this, Yobi, Bounty Hunter. GameCube, PlayStation 2, if I'm correct. It's the story of Jango Fett on how, like, everybody, when we met Jango Fett in Star Wars Episode 2, he was already cloned. They had been cloning him for years. And nobody really got into the story of, like, what made them pick Jango Fett to be the guy that they cloned this hundreds of thousands of times to create the ultimate soldier. And that's where you get into the story of Jango Fett in Bounty Hunter. And you start off as being just a regular bounty hunter that goes around and you're just really damn good at what you do, kind of like the Mandalorian. You collect bounties, you have the little visor that goes over your eye scanning people. And as bounty hunter, yep. And as you play the game, you have somebody that hires you for like the ultimate freaking bounty, and they won't tell you what your payment is. They're like, your reward will be beyond imagination. Your hunt is for a rogue Jedi. It's actually a rogue Sith. And you find out, like, Count Dooku is the guy that hired you, and your reward by the end of the game is you find out that you're going to be paid handsomely, and you're going to be cloned thousands of times because you are the perfect soldier. You survived fighting a Jedi. You killed one of the last remaining members of your species, the Mandalorians, because when Jango Fett was under the impression that Mandalorians were hard and like very few and far between, so you had to take out what was considered one of the last great members of your house of Mandalorians, and you had to wipe that dude out. And then you also go through the story of how he got the Slave One, which is his main ship that we saw in Episode 2, and you also see Boba Fett use the Slave One into all, like, Boba Fett's main ship was the Slave One. If you guys are a Star Wars fan, you see all of that in Bounty Hunter. Again, no lightsabers involved other than the fact that you're fighting the person with the lightsabers. Jango Fett did not pick up lightsabers. Awesome game. I actually, like, you know what's shitty about that? That game is actually up for backwards compatibility on PlayStation. And I own it on PlayStation. That's how much, like, love I have for these older Star Wars games. And I just really think it's tragic that storytelling, that area of creating canon for other characters in the Star Wars universe are constantly overshadowed by the Jedi. Am I crazy?
Well, I think it's because, the power of the Force with the lightsabers is more that people want to get behind rather than, shooting shooting the guns and things like that. Just because, you shoot guns in almost any game, even though it's different, but it's still kind of the same. So people, I think they just kind of merge more to the using the power of the Force with lightsabers, because it's, I think that's more of what that's been more in the movies too, right, Phil? As far as with Yoda and Vader and all the other Jedi,
See, I don't know. I feel like there was a healthy balance in the movies because at least George Lucas's vision wanted it to be that way. But we've also seen stuff like shows like The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. That's a good show, by the way, too.
I think it's called The House of Boba Fett or whatever. Like, Boba Fett even got his own show. We've also seen movies like Han Solo, and Rogue One. You're not, because low key, I'm lightsaber out. That's what I mean. Yeah, here's Yobi. You're not, because low key after Jedi Survivor, I am lightsabered out. I want more bounty hunter games, more Sith games focusing on the soldiers and the ones who aren't on the front line. And that's where, yeah, like there's more to Star Wars than the Jedi, and that was very prevalent. Like, let's look at it this way. Luke Skywalker The only time he busts a lightsaber in the first movie is when Obi-Wan gives it to him and he's wielding it around like a kid who just found his dad's gun kind of thing. Like, oh, look at what I got. Look what he gave me. But Obi-Wan was obviously the lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. And that's where you don't really see, and even then, it was like you saw a lot of stuff about Han Solo, like all these great big battles, and it wasn't until essentially Return of the Jedi where lightsabers were essentially glorified, where Luke Skywalker wouldn't even touch a blaster. He used a lightsaber for everything, but that was because he fully embraced himself in the Jedi code. And that's where, you know, with the newer movies, with episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3, they were showing the glory years of the Jedi, so I could see the glorification of it. And then, but even then, it's kind of interesting because we even saw something like sacrilegious where we saw Obi-Wan shoot General Grievous with a blaster. You remember that?
I do not. I've got to go through all the movies to
go watch Revenge
see.
of the Sith, dude, and it's funny as hell when you watch him like shoot Grievous with a blaster, and he like literally throws that thing to the side, like, oh my god, you know, like, oh my god, such an uncivilized weapon. You know, like, I can't believe I was forced to use that damn thing.
Funny.
Focused on Thrawn or on the Resistance, who's behind the scene, or a Han Solo. See, that's a Han Solo type character. I really feel like that's what we're going to get with Outlaws. But also at the same time, I want to actually play the PC game Star Wars: The Old Republic or Commando.
That game's good. If that's the game that I'm thinking of, that game's actually really fun.
That would be one that I would probably
I've played that one, and that one's fun. It's fun.
I'd put down ESO for that one if I got that heavily into it.
I think you would like it too. I think because it's really pretty in depth. So it would be good it would feed your information bug and also the gameplay and stuff. I think you would really like too.
Right. And I really feel that, you know, with all the stuff that's going out, like we saw how Han Solo, in my opinion, Han Solo was a good movie. And they could make a Han Solo style game. I know we're getting Star Wars Outlaws, which is a total different story. It would be nice though to see them kind of go back and kind of do something like we saw with the developer who just recently did RoboCop, and they also were responsible for doing Terminator Salvation, where they went in and they used the movies as like a source point for what they were going to do in their game, and they built off of it from there. I would love to see a developer do something like that where they tapped into some aspect. Like, it would be not like, there's definitely a lot of room there for people to play around with, that you could have different stories and they don't always have to revolve around a lightsaber. I know we're probably putting people to sleep with the Star Wars combo, but let's be honest, Star Wars gaming needs help, and that's why I put it in there, because this is what happens when you give ultimate control of a franchise like this that has so much flexibility and breadth and scope of what it's capable of, and you just give it to EA, who has just now reduced it down into Jedi's sell best. Just be absolutely honest. And that's where I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Ubisoft breaking the mold with Star Wars Outlaws. That's what I'm really looking for. Man, we're chugging right along here. Dude, if Star Wars The Old Republic came to Xbox, yeah, ESO would be fucked. ESO would be like, where'd Centurion go? Oh, yeah.
Hey, to be honest with you, if they did that, I'd be there with you, because I enjoyed it, so I'd be there with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yobi, it would be nice if they put that on console. Especially with how old it is, it would breathe new life into it and bring new players into the fold. So let's just kind of like get the excitement level picked up because it is what it is. We went on a tangent about, or I went on a tangent about Star Wars. Square
All
Enix.
good, bud.
Let's bring up Square Enix. We're now at that 1 hour point of the show practically. Good old Square Enix. So let's kind of like let's clarify a few things when it comes to Square Enix. A lot of people have been up in arms over this. Some are absolutely excited that Square Enix has made this decision. Others have gone off their rocker and compared it to like the civil rights movement of like the 1930s, 1940s. Like
Idiot.
Mickey saw that tweet. Like, dude, I was just like, man, I loved what one guy said to that guy though. He was like, dude, are you okay? Because this is just video games.
When you start comparing,
We don't want to give him any glorification, but no, like, go for it, Mickey. Say what you're gonna say.
it's to me, it blows my mind to compare civil rights issues to gaming issues. It's asinine. It's egregious. It blows my mind. And when I saw that, I was like, the first thing that came to my brain was idiot. And I don't mean to sound like that, but it's ridiculous. It's not even in the same atmosphere. So, yeah, that's all I'll say about that.
Real quick, Mickey. Thank you, Yobi. I actually like this format too. I do agree with you. Like, EA really missed a good mark on being able to do a Telltale game done in the Mass Effect universe. I really feel that how is it that they were able to craft something like with Mass Effect, and then all of a sudden we go down the road of like nothing but Jedi and Star Wars? That throws me off. Like, Mass Effect was absolutely wonderfully done, and yeah, they definitely missed on that one. I would agree. That would have been an awesome Telltale game. I would have played it. And yes, I do love this format. Thank you very much. I don't know how many podcasts I've been on and the podcasts I've seen where the individuals in the chat get little to no recognition unless they're channel members, which involves paying money monthly, or if they're dropping super chats. I get it. Some people will be like, oh, I don't care if you give me $1.99. You don't got to pay money to exist to me. Just you being here, leaving me a comment in the comment section, whether it's a thank you, I love this, or an F you suck. You still took time out of your day to type that in. So, you interacted. But I interact with people. That's what this is all about. This is to celebrate gaming, to drive conversation, and I don't want to always preach doom and gloom. That's why I'm saying that, yes, Ubisoft is a great company. They've had their struggles, but let's celebrate the fact that Ubisoft has a chance to do something with Star Wars games that we haven't seen in a very long time. And also, Assassin's Creed Shadows, again, no doom and gloom. We don't care that it's going to be like Valhalla or Origins or Odyssey. It's definitely fun to see that we are now going to an Asian version of like an Asian storyline, the samurai in feudal Japan, when it comes to the storyline. So again, no doom and gloom. I have no problem saying this looks good to me, and I am not worried about any of the stuff that people have been saying either about Assassin's Creed Shadows or Star Wars Outlaws. They can all kiss my ass. So, and Mickey too. Mickey, like me and Mickey will be flat out there being like, oh my God, all the people that got mad at us because we bought the ultimate editions of the game. Oh, well, what do we always say here? Do what you want with your money, no matter. Don't let people tell you what you want, what you should do with your money.
That's right.
But getting back into Square Enix, talking about what you shouldn't let people tell you what to do with your money. So let's just be absolutely honest. There is two different arguments going on here. We've seen a lot of people want to try to play pocket watcher, financial reporting, or like it's really interesting to see people when they're trying to be like, well, sales for Square Enix games are actually at an all-time high. It was actually the result of them being hyper-focused on an MMO that caused them to have the dip in decline and blah, 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 and all this other stuff, and the color of the sky based on the curvature of the universe divided by the taste of dirt, stuff like that. And let's just be absolutely honest. The numbers I've seen is we're not talking about sales. We're talking about we're not talking about in units sold of individual games. We're talking about earnings, which is revenue earnings, sales of, like when it comes to like microtransactions and stuff like that. Square Enix, in their partnership with PlayStation, and this partnership with PlayStation garnered the Final Fantasy, I believe 14 MMO, which remained on PlayStation as an exclusive for a very long time. Final Fantasy VII Remake, PlayStation exclusive. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, PlayStation exclusive. Final Fantasy, I believe it was 16. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16, PlayStation exclusive. Apparently, from all these exclusive deals, we're not going to talk about sales because we're not concerned about sales. It appears that Square Enix has had a 70% drop off in earning potential. And that's where, like, cool, you're selling single player games, but because of your drop off in earning potential, you're actually making 70% less money than you were in other times. And so Square Enix is going to now take this approach where, according to what was posted, they are going to aggressively chase after multiplat gaming. And so when they said multiplat, we know that, yes, they've done stuff for PlayStation and Nintendo, but they're wanting to now tackle putting a lot more content on Xbox and a lot more content on PC. And that is where we're probably starting to see the cracks starting to show that whoop-de-effing doo-dah-day, your game is exclusive to the best-selling console hardware on the market. When you leave money off the table, you leave money off the table. And like we've said here before, and I always jokingly say it, I make too much money is that shit no one ever said. And that's where Square Enix has probably seen the writing on the wall that Xbox has proven that they can create more revenue by putting their certain single player games on the PlayStation platform. And I'm pretty sure Square Enix wants to chase that pie now too, because who the hell wants to go out of business? At the end of the day, you don't want to go out of business. You want to continue making money. And if you're going to let the console warriors try to get in your head and start trying to compare putting games at multiplat as somehow part of the civil rights movement, that's insane. And of course, that's why I said, dude, I would rather have these gaming companies around creating content, employing people, and driving the needle in both competition and innovation in game development, both when it comes to mechanics and pushing story. Because Square Enix, with the Final Fantasy, really makes some really unique stories. Also, I'm not one of those that was all up in arms over what they did with the Marvel game. Avengers, me and Mickey were like, but the story was still there, at least from a single player standpoint. The multiplayer was absolute horde crap. when it came to, oh my God, Guardians of the Galaxy from Square Enix. I actually loved that game. I thought it was funny as hell.
Yeah, that's a good game. That was fun.
Right. So I really do feel that this is going to be a new era, not only for Square Enix, but I really think we're starting to see some stuff showing when it comes to the strategy that a lot of individuals or a lot of publishers and developers are going to probably approach when it comes to game development. And that approach is we're going to see a lot more multi-plat games. We're already seeing that with Xbox. We're starting to see that with Square Enix, and we're probably more than likely going to start maybe seeing that with PlayStation, because let's face it, um you may have the best selling console on the market, but we've seen with a majority of the first party studio games that they develop, there is a very small attach rate of, like, I believe, like, because we had like over 100 million sold on the PlayStation 4. I think it was like, now I think we're at like pushing like 110, and we're like 20 million for God of War 2019. God of War Ragnarok did not sell as good as the previous God of War. Same with Horizon Zero Dawn versus Horizon Forbidden West. Same with Spider-Man 1 versus Spider-Man 2. Though the first inception of those games sold better than their sequels. And that being said, even then, all of them were hitting somewhere around to a 15 to 20% attachment rate for the PlayStation console. So
As far as I'm concerned, I think sharing is caring.
I did.
If you strip every, if you
You know
strip,
what?
if
I
you
think
strip,
that's so funny. Most of these guys, I know for damn fact, most of these guys that like over here are just like, like, let's just be honest. We know damn well that there is a lot of pot smokers out there. So apparently sharing is caring with your weed, but no. When it comes to console wars, no, we don't share. We don't share. Bogart that all damn day.
if you're a gamer, wouldn't you push for more games? I mean, I do. I don't care whether it's on PlayStation, Xbox. If Xbox wants to take all their titles and let you know Sony players play them, I don't care. That's cool. That just means more people for those games too. And if Sony did the same thing for Microsoft, it'd be fantastic. I have no issues with that. I don't see what the dealio is. As far as people wanting to hold on to games for their console, it's like let's just
The main point.
if you're a gamer, just I would think you'd want to push for more games
The main
and
point
for
of
sharing.
contention when it comes to Xbox making multi-plat games is they try to go down the narrative of, if Xbox sees that they can sell these games multi-plat, then there's no point in owning an Xbox. You could just own a PlayStation or a PC. The Xbox becomes irrelevant. And if the Xbox itself becomes irrelevant, then that means our gaming libraries are going to disappear. Where, I've got like 500 games in my digital library. I'm pretty sure you've got a hefty amount of digital games. There's other people that have like over 1,000 games in their digital library. But that's where I'm very curious, because Xbox is currently they're also having a sale right now where they've like marked down a large majority of the games on the Xbox 360 marketplace to let
Yeah,
people
I saw that too.
get their fill in on like the games that aren't going to be there anymore. But like for me, it's kind of like, do you really think that Microsoft would go down that road? Or do you think in the end, they're just going to have a different version of hardware that would give you access to your digital library? I don't really feel I don't have this concern that my digital library is going to be gone. But also, if it did, in my mind, I'd be like, well, that's fucked up. Screw you, Xbox, or screw you, Microsoft. I guess I'm just going to have to go build a new library somewhere else. I feel like if something like that was to happen, I would probably migrate to PC, but that's the hilarious part is I think my library at Microsoft is also going to work on PC. So PC is Xbox, Xbox is PC. Um, but that being said, um, I don't, I'm not one of those that really fall into that fear that it's going to happen because Microsoft really prides itself on being the place that you can go to make these digital purchases. Like, look at Windows, look at their online stores. And I'm just wondering, like, if they did something like that, I'd feel like there'd be like extreme repercussions from multiple federal agencies, both in the United States, the UK, and all across the world, because you would really like at that point show that world regulators need to be a little bit more invested into digital ownership. And that would cause now all of a sudden more scrutiny and more government regulation on digital purchases, which you wouldn't want to create that whole scenario because the last thing you'd want is for there to be more government regulation in that industry. So I'm just, yeah, I just, if Xbox was to quit developing hardware, I, for me, the only way that makes sense is if technology got to a point where you were able to buy a television with Xbox integration. We've already seen it with Samsung TVs, or irrelevant if you have the better hardware ecosystem subscription and an ASIC. I'm trying to like
Well, here's the thing, though, is that it's not really something to worry about unless it comes to light.
that too.
Because all it is right now is it's just, uh, you know,
Well,
a possibility, but it's not in front of us.
I know,
So
right?
it's not really something to really worry about until it comes to fruition, if it comes to fruition. There's already so many worries about, stuff that we just, that's why I'm the simple one. I mean, I'll admit it, compared to you, because you've got the information and stuff. But my simple mind is just focusing on playing. And, I'm not worried. There's so much information out there that makes people worry, that makes people, start putting things together that's not there yet. And that's not against you, Phil, at all.
No,
That's not what I'm
that's
saying.
actually, I totally agree because, you want to definitely, you always want to plan for the future, but you never want to get so far ahead that you're like peering into a crystal ball. Like, yeah, I get the idea that like, they could stop making hardware possibly, but also we could wake up next week and aliens have invaded and they see all Azure,
Correct.
they see all Azure cloud farms as like some sacrilege to their world and they're out there actively destroying the internet. So I would be like one of those that's like, well, technically, if we're going to go down that road, it's like Evan Almighty, or not Bruce Almighty, when he was just like, yeah, when a monkey climbs out my ass, like,
Yeah.
well, guess what? Good news. That is today. And like,
it's crazy because, there is so much information out there. And to me, too much information is not always good.
oh yeah,
Because, it's just a flood of the creation of opinions or possibilities that aren't there, and it's just, that's why I try to be simple.
well,
You give me my information that I need, and you keep me up to date on stuff, but for the most part, I'm just like, I try to keep most of that stuff just out of my head so that
well, yeah, you get
it,
it's like, so it's
it
like
creates a fear, you know what I mean?
but not only that, but also in sales, you run the risk of when you give your customer way too much information, you've given them essentially sensory overload. And now they have gone from being able to make a yes or no decision to help you with sales to where now they got to go home and think about it, which is the last. When
That's
you're
true
in
too. That
when
can
you're
happen.
in
That's
sales,
true.
the last thing you
That's
want
true.
them to be like, I got to go home and think about everything you just told me. So when
Right.
it comes to sales, less is more and simple and straight to the point. But that's one of the ironic things is that's what I've been saying about the Xbox brand all along when it comes to gaming media is the gaming media is constantly, we got to leak out what Xbox is doing. We got to tell everybody what Xbox is doing. What's
And that's part
Xbox
of the too
doing?
much information. Yeah,
And,
that's
and
part of
then
the too much
you get this
information. Yeah.
constant stream of just crystal ball shit takes or doom and gloom or what ifs, maybes, woulda, coulda, shouldas, and all this stuff that surrounds Xbox. But when we get to PlayStation, oh, we don't we really feel that we should be reserved in what we talk about because we need to show them respect. We shouldn't play woulda, coulda, shoulda. We should really sit back and wait and see what PlayStation delivers to us, so that way we can, give you information based on the facts. And it's like, wait a minute. So you have no problem giving people sensory overload on Xbox, but you want to be like a tactical marketing strategy for PlayStation? What the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I play on everything, but Xbox is my primary. Yeah, Xbox, dude. I could actually, me and Mickey have had total conversations about this. I could have yet another show on why I play on Xbox outside of games. Big one. My shit was hacked on PlayStation. Xbox is got their stuff on lockdown. If they see something weird, I get an email about it. PlayStation's over here like rolling out the red carpet, making tea and crumpets for these a-holes to just hack my account. Anyways, so I like what Boba Fett said, but I'm also trying to absorb it. Does it become irrelevant if you have the better hardware, ecosystem, subscription service, and asymmetrical sticks? I'm trying to figure out asymmetrical sticks. Maybe that's the one that I'm being thrown off. But that's where let's also look at it like right now. All of gaming is in a flux. We know what Xbox is doing because, you've probably already heard this, Mickey, also as well. It's not really Xbox Studios now. It's Microsoft Studios. The Microsoft executives, the higher ups that aren't even part of the Xbox division, the guys who basically, sit at the boardroom table that govern off of a spreadsheet and all that fun stuff. Were like Satya Nadella. I forget the other two names. God, they're on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't even begin to say them. But at any rate, we all know that, like, if you go look them up, there's like three people that are like making all the business decisions for Xbox, like the CEO, the CFO, and there's also Amy Henning, Satya Nadella, and I forget the other guy's name. People talk more games than they play them. I know people talk more about games than they play them. That's not what this is here for. Like, Blue, I play a lot. Dude, see, that's Craig, you make a good point because technically still to this day, the PlayStation 3 was the worst hack in gaming history. I believe it was something like 11 million people's information was leaked. Like, it was like insane. And still to this day, I still get shocked where it's like, how PlayStation had we're sorry about your information being leaked and you guys all having to get debit and credit cards and all that stuff replaced. But we want to let you know your reimbursement is you get to pick 2 games from this select list of games. Nothing on here is current, but you still get to pick 2 free games from this paltry offering. And I still remember my offer. I still remember my two. Hey, if anybody wants to have some fun, Mickey probably couldn't do this. I don't know if you did, but whoever participated in the PlayStation Welcome Back campaign after the hack in 2011 or something like that. So please, actually, I think it was like 30 million people. I forget. It was a huge amount of people that got their shit leaked. But anybody who participated in the PlayStation Welcome Back campaign, put what two games you got in the chat next. Even after the show on the replay machine, put it down in the comments section. Let's have some fun. My two games from the Welcome Back campaign on PlayStation was Little Big Planet and Infamous.
I know Little Big Planet was hitting at that time. That game was like ultra popular, but that's funny.
Yeah, I know, right? But it still was like they weren't like. I'm just saying, like, I know that. No, dude, for real, Boba Fett. I'm actually thinking about buying like one of those like $100 USB dongles that let you actually connect an Xbox controller to a PlayStation to be able to use, because my wife actually likes the joysticks side by side. Me, on the other hand, I like having the joysticks separated like they are in the Xbox controller. I don't even remember what games I got for it anymore. That's funny. But yeah, that's where this whole Square Enix situation shows that times are changing. A lot of these publishers got way ahead of themselves, and I don't think that they should have done some of the things they did during the pandemic, because they're obviously, people are not spending money like they were. And a lot of like everybody from Embracer Group, Microsoft, Square Enix, and a lot of other publishers out there are starting to realize that they have to kind of like go with the changing of the times. And that's where I think a lot of people aren't ready for this. And I'm really curious on what it's going to look like in the next couple of years. We're probably going to see a lot of multi-plat games come from companies we never thought they would do it. You know, Square Enix, Microsoft, PlayStation probably included in that. But then we also have the idea of like, how is technology going to advance? Sarah Bond, one of the new directors, Mickey, Phil Spencer is essentially the president of Xbox Gaming. And Sarah Bond is underneath her, but she's like second in command. When Phil Spencer leaves, Sarah Bond is probably going to be the person in charge. She's already come out and let people know that there is new hardware on the horizon for the Xbox brand. From some of the leaks I've seen, it looks like it's an all-digital console. I really hope it's not that. At least if it is an all-digital console, I really hope that it's going to be like PlayStation, where you have a standalone USB disk drive that you can purchase separately for those who want it and still be able to use your physical games.
I think what it's going to end up coming to is the consoles are going to start becoming console PCs, where you can attach things to it. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm hoping for, is the console PC. I like that. Like, I'm curious on what you've read and what you think, for the fact that you're not as like I have all the Xbox leaks floating around on a PC with all the photos and good. You ever come over sometime, I'll let you look at them all and you'll be like, what the F? But I think I read part of an article or something. I think I might have glanced past something that was talking about the next generation of Xbox, and I've got the full
they said it's going to be insane.
I've got the full FTC PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, well, from what I read, is it was
definitely a PowerPoint presentation.
They said it's going to have like really high quality parts, like upgraded parts. It's going to be crazy, like insane. So hopefully, I'm excited for that too. So
we've been hearing myths and rumors about a modular gaming console for the longest time. And that's how like PCs are. They're modular. Oh, I needed upgraded graphics, new graphics card. Oh, I need a new hard drive.
Until you actually like if until you actually get the actual information, everything to this point right now is hearsay, aside from what they tell you or what they give to you, and really it's just little bits and pieces as far as I know, because that's all I've seen. So
Well, that's the I'm just like, I really do like the concept of the PC based hardware under your TV, because that was actually the original conception for the Xbox. If you kind of watch, Xbox On, or however, whatever the 5-part series was on YouTube, very informative. And so originally the Xbox was supposed to be a way of putting a Windows PC in the living room. And then we obviously saw that they were making a game console, and Bill Gates lost his shit when they found out that I think it was I think it was only something like 10-15% of the actual Windows operating software ended up in the original concept of the Xbox, when he wanted it to be he was just like, I wanted the whole thing in there. Well, who's going to open an Excel file on the Xbox? I'm saying right there, if I had an Xbox that could open an Excel file, I'd be like, this is what my life has turned into. Work has invaded the one thing that has given me some sanctity. But yeah, dude. Yeah, go check it out. It's Mickey. Mickey, I'm serious. Go on YouTube on your breaks at work or when you're spare time. It's called Xbox On. It's a 5-part series. I think each part is about 30 minutes, an hour. And it's done with really great production value. It was done by Xbox, and they go through the creation of the Xbox to the rolling out and distribution of the original Xbox. And then they go into the Xbox 360's development. What happened?
You'll have to text me, because I'll freaking forget.
Okay.
By the time we get off this,
they go into the red ring
so.
They go into the red ring of death. They actually have the guy who was in charge of Microsoft at that time sit down for an interview and explain exactly what happened. It's kind of screwed up, but it was a learning experience for the industry, especially when it came to, putting these, systems, basically system on a chip on these boards, and the solder that you use to use these systems on a chip. Anyways, so the gaming PC thing I think is really cool, and that's where I really hope they give the ability to have a lot of flexibility to turn it into what you want. But that also being said, that's just a hardware standpoint. Things can completely change and flip around. Like, PlayStation just came out and announced that Jim Ryan, when he left, Hiroki Totoki was a temporary CEO, leader of PlayStation, and now they have 2 individuals who are now going to share the responsibilities of PlayStation that Jim Ryan himself did by himself. So, new Sony CEOs. Yep, there we go. Here we go. So the other guy is Hideki Nishino. Apparently that guy, Hideki Nishino, was one of those that's referred to as he's the business guy. And then you're gonna have Herman Holst. Herman Holst has been heavily invested in the game development side of PlayStation Studios. So you have one guy, the shared responsibility between these two is person A is heavily invested in game development and game production. Person B is, the financial analyst and the dude that probably grades stuff off of a spreadsheet At least that's what I'm gathering from the two individuals here. And so so yeah. Hideki Nishino will lead Platform Business Group, which includes console hardware, technology, accessories, PlayStation Network, and third-party relations. And they go into Herman Holst. He will be named studio, which includes all of PlayStation's first-party teams, covers the development of PlayStation IP onto other mediums such as film and television, and he was already the head of PlayStation Studios, and he is also the co-founder for the Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, and Killzone developer Guerrilla Games. So he's obviously a very prominent game developer versus somebody who is on the front lines of like making sure that Sony runs financially lean. I'm very curious on what PlayStation's going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years, because it almost feels like PlayStation at this point in time is in a little bit of an identity crisis. They want to keep making single player experiences, but they want to make the blockbusters that sell the 15 to 20 million that we saw with the original versions of like Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't even know if Horizon got up that high, but I know like Spider-Man and at least God of War got up that high. They're after those single player experiences that people are talking about with everybody and their grandmother around the water cooler, but they're also all of a sudden wanting to kind of capture some of that Epic Games and Microsoft money with games as a service. And that's where we see Helldivers 2. And we know that Herman Holst has admitted that there's a lot of game development on the PlayStation side for games as a service. I'm curious on how many of those games are really going to actually come to fruition. Originally, that number was 10, but I'm going to be surprised if we got 3 or 4 of them. But, out of the 10 that they originally said that they were working on. I'm just really curious on what PlayStation's going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years, because they're having an identity crisis on a leadership level and on a game level. And maybe we're starting to see that same situation with Microsoft, because we're starting to now see the Microsoft executives wanting to be more involved in what goes on in Xbox, because not only was Activision Blizzard a $69 billion deal, not only was that $69 billion deal the biggest purchase in gaming, but also that $69 billion deal, the biggest purchase in gaming for Activision Blizzard, was the biggest purchase Microsoft has ever made as a company. Yes, they're involved. What do you think? No, really, like, what do you, like, could you blame Microsoft executives wanting to be a little bit more invested on that return on investment? You just spent $69 billion.
Right.
You just don't get to be like, hey, we spent $69 billion. Let's see what happens. Oh, no. They actually had, again, fiduciary responsibility. We've said it before. And
Right.
Investors get that fiduciary responsibility. And we've always jokingly said the word douche is inside the word fiduciary. I know people don't like investors, but it is what it is. Investors are the guys that are forking out the money to make a lot of these purchases. That's how Xbox has become a $3 trillion company, from investors buying stock options and all this other stuff. So at least the Microsoft executives that got to answer to these investors when they give them the financial reports quarterly, they got to show a little bit of return on investment. So now they're starting to trim some of the fat on Xbox and really kind of like, hey, we got to run a little lean here. Wow. What do you think, Mickey?
Well, unfortunately, it makes sense, which is hence, like what we talked about last week, I think, when they, when they cut the cord on a few of the
Well,
developers. I mean, you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do. I'm not saying it's cool, and again, I feel bad for the people that lost their jobs. I mean, it's
I feel bad.
you
I
know
do. I do feel bad. Um,
the money situation is the money situation. So
dude,
you know,
here's one that I'm actually concerned about because I really do feel people would lose their shit. And here's the thing. This is an amazing studio. They do very amazing things. But since they're purchased by Xbox, they've only released 2 games. One did not go over well. It was a multiplayer game, like an arena battle that actually really it felt like it was just very way too simplistic and it didn't go too far. I had fun playing it, but at the same time, I know they stopped support for it years ago. Um, and we'll get into the titles of the game here in a second. But the other game that they're releasing is actually set to come out here in the next few days. You probably already know where I'm going with that. You know, we're talking about the multiplayer game Bleeding Edge. We're talking about the
oh,
game. We're talking about the game Hellblade 2. And the only reason why I'm a little concerned is because Xbox announced their purchase in 2017. And from a financial standpoint, we have seen a developer only come out with 2 games. One did not go over well. The other one, I don't know if this is. I don't know if Hellblade 2 is going to keep Ninja Theory running. I don't really want to say they're going to lose their jobs because Ninja Theory has done some amazing stuff. They also have Project Mara in development. These guys are doing amazing stuff with Unreal Engine 5, the metahuman technology of Unreal Engine 5, and they have done amazing stuff with LiDAR when it comes to mapping out surfaces and doing some amazing, groundbreaking graphical freaking wizardry when it comes to creating textures like upholstery on furniture, water in a sink. Like Mickey, I'll show you stuff on Project Mara. You'll be like, what the F? And for those who don't understand what LiDAR is a laser sonar system that is normally used on airplanes to go over the jungle, and they deforest the jungle with it. So that's how they find like Inca runes and other stuff that's like under the forest that you didn't even know there. LiDAR is also used to map cave systems. These guys are using a LiDAR unit inside an apartment and they're like mapping every square inch of this apartment in detail. They're doing absolutely crazy stuff. I really feel that Ninja Theory might not close. I just foresee them becoming a support studio for stuff that uses Unreal Engine. Like in my mind, I'm like, maybe I'm crazy throwing on a tinfoil hat, but I really could see Ninja Theory potentially being those that are doing some behind the scenes stuff with Gears of War. Gears of War 6, because we all know that the Coalition helped develop a Gears of War 5 demo. I mean, not a Gears of War 5, an Unreal Engine 5 demo. And then the Coalition also really helped with the demo for the Matrix demo that highlighted the Unreal Engine 5. And with the technology that Ninja Theory has done with LiDAR and MetaHuman, I really do feel that in my mind, Xbox is in possession of 2 of the most amazing studios that know how to do absolute witchcraft with the Unreal Engine. And that's where I'm wondering, are we going to see a little bit of a restructuring when it comes to the Unreal Engine 5? I mean, when it comes to Ninja Theory after Hellblade releases. And the only reason why I worry is A, I don't want to see people lose their jobs. B, I don't want to see that expertise and the witchcraft that they know disappear or go somewhere else. But I also know if something happens, people are going to continue losing their minds when they just can't, like, it just really sucks that PlayStation is helping drive this narrative that they need bigger games, and the only games that really seem to work out for a small budget are these games as a service games. So single player games, massive budgets, cinematic experiences, blockbuster kind of stuff, and the lower budget games have to be games as a service because they got to have monetization and other revenue generating stuff crafted into them to be able to generate their own existence. Or I don't know. That's why I say, like, I feel like each one of the brands is in their identity crisis right now. And I'm very curious on what the playing field is going to look like in the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, only one way to find out. Wait and see.
I know, right? Are you drooling yet? Did you fall asleep on me?
Who?
You?
Me? No.
No, my imaginary friend, fanboy. He's laying here on the floor. He's drooling. That's somebody I really need to bring back bring back into the fold, out of the closet, out of his jail cell. Fanboy. Especially with all the other stuff. That fanboy would have been a good one for that civil rights movement speech. The only problem is I probably would have got flagged by YouTube for like going onto a controversial subject.
That would have been funny.
But you know what? Today's show was kind of simple and sweet. We just kind of, the main crux of our discussion today was, we're excited for Assassin's Creed Shadows. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, go check it out. It's less than 4 minutes of your life.
Definitely cool.
Definitely going to be a great game. Star Wars needs a breath of fresh air, and I am excited for Star Wars Outlaws to be able to show once again that it's okay for the scoundrel to get a game. We don't need a lightsaber every damn time. And the other one is Square Enix and how people have been really either excited about what this could bring for the Xbox brand or other platforms that Square Enix has ignored, and other people that have apparently they have no identity unless their console has all these exclusives, when your identity should be, the community that you're part of, the friends that you have, and that you keep, and all that other, I really don't feel that exclusives should be your identity.
It's true.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, fantastic show as usual. Thank you, Yobi. I really appreciate you. We got to get you on here one night because you're obviously up here rolling with us this late at night. No, you almost feel like the Cinemax back in the day where it's like, oh yeah, the show comes on after midnight. No. At least, like I said, as far as I know, we're both wearing pants in this show. So
maybe.
Right. But no, it's always good to see you guys on here. It's always great. Mr. Kima, thank you for checking it out. Microsoft invested money into motion capture, state of the art. Yeah, dude, the motion capture that Ninja Theory is using is absolutely crazy, especially with that newer stuff with the metahuman. And that's where I'm just really curious on. That's why I don't think Ninja Theory, they're going to walk up and be like, y'all out, get the F out, shop closed. I just really see that Ninja Theory can develop games with about 20 people. I think they're going to let Ninja Theory maybe work on smaller titles here and there. But I do believe that in some of some portion of Ninja Theory is going to help with the support and development of at least first-party studio titles that come out of Microsoft that are using the Unreal Engine 5, especially those that are very detailed games when it comes to texture graphics and, of course, realistic human looking graphics. Working on a press. Waiting on a press to heat up. Oh, dude, it's I'm generally waiting on people to do their job. That's my job. So, anyways, thank you everybody here. I'm glad I was able to help fill in the rest of your night, start off your morning, or fill in your day at work or whatever you're doing. I appreciate every single one of you. Every single time you
Yep.
come in here.
Thank you guys
whether
for coming in and listening to us
Yes, definitely. Whether you listen live or
and
on the
hanging
replay,
out.
always feel free to even leave me a comment down below. I'm always kind of like watching my channel. Again, there is going to be more content starting to pop up out of this channel. I'm starting to get a better work-life balance. And also, I'm excited because, I mean, there's no point in building myself a filming area in my new apartment if I'm not going to make content now. So that's going to be definitely... I'm going to be starting to try to crank out at least one content video a week. And then as, times progress and things calm down, I want to start going into more. But that's what I love about one podcast a week. We'll start off one video a week and we'll just kind of let nature run its course there. Thank you everybody for coming in and checking out the channel. Thank you for listening to me and Mickey. Remember, play what you want, spend money on whatever the hell you want, no matter what anybody says. And until next time, everybody, we look forward to seeing you next week.
Be safe.
Right?
Peace.
Especially in my neighborhood. Later, everybody.